Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're gonna talk about more technology that has to do with gang stalking. Last time we covered the first seven remote methods of remote neural monitoring, and we're gonna cover the last three. We're gonna also go on to a little bit of phone remote screen surveillance. So first, the this is the number eighth method of remote neural monitoring. So it says remote olfactory and smell memory surveillance. R&M stalkers can access specific memory of smell or create a desired smell, and one can smell it by electronic stimulation. First, there is no such thing as electronic stimulation to produce olfactory sounds. There can be something on the news, but gang stalkers are not walking around with any of this type of technology. Additionally, the only technology that gang stalkers gonna be carrying is simply a phone. Also, well, personally, I have experienced something similar, but it was always the smell of piss. So the thing is that in San Diego, at least there's a lot of like homeless people and they piss everywhere. So very, very likely there's gonna be someone who like piss somewhere in the evening and you're gonna smell it here and there. Also, I do feel that gang stalkers like one time threw some type of like liquid or actual piss somewhere, because there were times where I was like inside the dormitory of the homeless shelter, and there was and I was by the door of where I was living, and it just literally smelled like piss all of a sudden. So there could be the situation where just someone just went and just threw some piss. I wouldn't be shocked by that. But if that happens, just know that there's absolutely no technology. Someone is probably just like throwing piss wherever, and that's it. It Who cares if they do that? How is that going to affect you negatively? It doesn't matter. So the reason that I connected a little bit with the piss was because when I was homeless, I literally used to piss in like bottles because I didn't always have a restroom readily available. So and then I would just throw that in the trash. So I kind of identify with that because I felt like it was a mockery of me. But with time, I just found out that it's something kind of funny. So I took the heaviness of it by just the fact that I saw, a piss bottle somewhere, and I was like, well, this is kind of common. So I was like, who cares? So first of all, who cares? So stop giving it meaning. All right, it has it a lot. It's most likely that if gang stalkers are doing that to you, where they're placing things that smell awful, who cares? Literally, who cares? It doesn't matter. All right, period. Take the meaning off of it. It's not important. I used to stress about it a little bit because I connected with that, but try to think about it in a bigger picture. Like, I wasn't the only one who was pissing in bottles. And the thing is that whenever, if I was still in the gang stalking mentality, whenever I would see a piss bottle on the pavement, I would think that a gang stalker put it there for me to mock me. But since I am not in the gang stalker mentality, since I'm not connected anymore, it's not important anymore. It doesn't matter. So this video is to help you get out of it, that it matters mentality, so that you can get out of your gang stalking situation faster. Now, this person here talks about he used to smell farts before he went to sleep. So, you know, if you're already going through a bunch of this, maybe there's no obvious causation for a the smell of fart all of a sudden. You know, it. Who cares? Put a fucking fan. It doesn't matter. Why are you giving it importance? It is not as. It's just that. isolated from the entire gang stalking operation, and I know it's annoying, but just get over it. The less you put meaning into it, the better, because it's just a fucking fart. So so I think this only affects you if you believe that gang stalkers are doing this, but it is in the time that I was gang stalked. It only happened. I smelled piss outside of wherever I was, like once or twice, but it was because I was putting meaning into the color yellow and into piss, because of I had a negative experience of that. I felt that I was embarrassed. It was embarrassing. It was, remember, gang stalking is a shame based operation, so I was embarrassed of having to piss in bottles. That's the truth of it. But once you lose the embarrassment, the piss bottles kind of lose their power. That's because I realized that it's something common. If you're wasted and you don't want to get arrested for pissing on the street, you piss in a water bottle. Or whatever, you piss wherever you can. It's common. People who go like on a freaking not a hike, well, even so, on a hike, or people who go camping, they're gonna piss wherever they can. So I don't want to just litter and piss on the street. It's better to do it that way than just pissing on the streets, I would think. So you have to kind of take the shame off of it. So, for example, if someone who's getting gang stalked can just be embarrassed about farting really disgustingly, but a lot of people just like fart, even if it's disgusting, they just laugh and they just like leave, you know. So you if something like this affects you, it's because it somehow you are identifying with that smell, and there's something shameful about it. So just try to look at the bigger picture. Try to stop making it all about you and think of it in what everyone else is doing. All right? Stop isolating yourself and stop thinking of yourself as a single case, because most likely it is that most people are doing that too, or many people, not most. Now, remote electrical relay. R&M stalkers use satellite to zap you with electricity, causing electrical shock, pin and prick, sharp pain, and more often than the usual itch on the skin. So, right now, since I'm letting my hair grow, I feel like a lot of itch behind my neck, and that's because I'm not cutting my hair and it's just too long. Because I'm letting it grow. So I'm attributing that to my hair, not because of gang stalking, even though it's a new sensation, because I've never had like so much itch behind my neck. Also, I began to have a lot of itch on my hands when I was getting gang stalked, but that was because that was when they were making me a germaphobe, and I was using a lot of sanitizer. Now, one time I wasn't touching anything electrical, but I got an electric shock, and I was so sure that gang stalkers were shocking me remotely, and because I wasn't, but it was just like a static shock. I think I felt like a shock when I wasn't touching anything one time. I'm not sure because it was so long ago, but back then my nervous system was super haywire and I was so tired that I attributed it to gang stalkers, but that only happened one time. So if oh yeah, and then immediately after, when I felt the shock, a coworker showed me a picture of an electricity Pokemon. So, and he was participating in gang stalking. So I just felt that he was just mocking me about the shock, because it would just happen to be an electricity Pokemon and it was yellow. You know, so it wasn't, it was me that made the connection, you know, and I don't know. So it will feel like it, but take the importance away from it. It. So the fact that he showed me the yellow electricity Pokemon, it had an effect on me, because I got an electric shock and I thought that I was electrocuted by gang stalkers. So that's how you make the connection. So if you eliminate the first connection, that it was just an electric shock, even though you might think that it was getting gang stalked, because remember, gang stalking makes you attribute everything that happens to you, any inconvenience, any negative emotion, to gang stalkers. So then your brain starts making the connection that your coworker is showing you the yellow Pokemon because of the yellow electric Pokemon, because of the electric shock that you just felt. So it kind of just builds on. So, but the reality is that even though those two might be connected, the root of it was that it was just a static shock, and then the possibly shocks that I thought were because of the gang stalkers, or actually because of my nervous system. It would just repeated that. Remember, your nervous system is an echo chamber of thoughts, of sensations, of feelings, and it is programmed to do that. It just repeats. It's an echo chamber. So it is very likely that if you felt an electric shock and you are connected, that's gonna echo. In between, in echo, in air quotes, like, you know what I mean. That your nervous system is gonna reproduce it, one way or another, sometime sooner or later. Just like the time where my body reproduced the thumbtack on the heel of my foot. I'm not sure if I told you that. Well, I know I told you that story in another video, but I'm gonna tell it to you right now. So I was staying at the homeless shelter, and then I stepped on a thumbtack, and it hurt, but I didn't do anything. I didn't say anything. I just took it off, and then I threw it in the trash. Now, like a week later, I was at work, and then I was just walking, and then I literally felt the exact same prick on the heel of my shoe, just as painful. It could have even felt more real, and it felt more real because I even felt the blood pooling. Blood. I literally felt like the sole of my foot was wet. But then I took off my shoe, and then there was nothing. It was just that my nervous system reproduced that sensation. When you're getting gang stalked, your body's gonna do that. Your body's gonna reproduce sensations, pain, shaking, heart palpitations. So there were times where actually I felt that there was like the energy being placed on top of my heart, of the palpitation, because I felt my heart beat, but I felt the heart palpitation like literally in front of it. So that's when I was thinking, oh, so they're using the direct energy weapons to mimic a heart attack. But it was just that my nervous system was just kind of replicating the sensation of heart palpitations, of my heart beating really fast. So just know that your nervous system is an echo chamber. When you're getting gang stalked, it functions as an echo chamber of sensations, and there are going to be times where your body is going to reproduce sensations, pains, stabs, any type of crazy sensation. Your nervous system is going to reproduce it, and you're going to feel it, and it's going to feel undistinguishably real. All right, so there's that. Now, moving on the next part of of the list, it's remote and computer surveillance. One, R&M stalkers, or remote neuromonitoring stalkers. Remote neuromonitoring stalkers can view what is on the computer screen. Two, remote neural monitoring stalkers can view the screen of your mobile phone. Three, by using this surveillance, R&M stalkers can hack your email and change the login password if you don't have strong security measures, i.e., for example, 100 or more character password, two-step sign-in verification, and recovery options. Four, they can jam the internet Wi-Fi signals and also stop LAN internet connectivity of a laptop. So, first of all, remote neural whatever R&M stalkers can view what is on your phone screen. First of all, gang stalking is the only situation where you cannot trust what you see. I saw proof, I guess, that that someone was moving up and down the volume on my phone. I saw proof that my screen was being recorded, and I saw proof that they could, and I heard proof that they would jamming my Bluetooth earphones and putting sounds of farts on my phone. So the farts could be real. I don't know. It happened only one time. The screen grab that has happened to me by accident, and the up and down volume I saw actually that happened, but it was another phone that another a video that I was playing that literally had like that whoever was doing the screen recording was pushing the volume up and down of their phone. I also thought that they had access to my Nintendo Switch because one time I was sitting down in the cafeteria, and then I was playing the video game called Wolfenstein. Was it Wolfenstein? No, Biohazard. The Wolfenstein video game, the one with the Nazis, and the guy and the character said, "Stick that pipe up your ass" or something like that. And I was a crackhead, and I had a crack pipe. So whenever the character said that, the two gang stalkers that were in front of me, they just immediately stood up and left, giving me the impression that they did what they meant. Like both of them just stood up at the same time. So what happened is that is something that they do, where something happens that kind of goes in with the narrative, and they're gonna do something to confirm it. For example, I was the one time where I was when I thought that everyone could hear what I said in my thoughts, and I had just swiped a a a a meme where they had a play button where you could hear the sound. So as soon as I swiped it, the gang stalker that was next to me, he just went, "Damn it!" Like, and then I immediately thought to myself, well, was I supposed to hear this? Were my thoughts actually recorded and in this meme? So then I was like, you start making the connections because of their actions. Just like how I thought that they had put the voice of the character about the pipe in my video game. So they did that by implication, but the reality is that they didn't have access to my Switch, to my Nintendo Switch, much less modify a video game. Additionally, they did that where they went, "Damn it," a lot. So then when they do that, it is just your mind that starts making the connections. Now, anything that the gang stalkers do to imply something, just know that it's false. That's why they have to do something to imply it. For example, remember when, I'm not sure if you haven't seen me before. Well, there was a time where I was parked at a parking structure, and then a gang stalker literally just like walked by of my car with a backpack, and then he looked both ways, and then he crouched down, and then I began honking, and then I turned over my engine, and then I kept honking, and then he didn't move, and he like pretended like he was putting something on my car, and then he left. So one, that is the implication that he was bugging my car. So, but I already knew that it was an implication. Why? Because it is, what is a person that uses crystal meth believing? It was just too cliche. It was way too cliche. Of course, a person who's getting gang stalked, who's using crystal meth, is gonna believe that his car is getting bugged, and having a gang stalker imply that, of course, it's gonna make me feel like that. You know what I mean? It was just way too cliche. A crackhead thinking that their car is bugged. I was like, okay, that's stupid. There's no way. And it was just so funny to me because that's exactly what it implied. Now, I don't know why I was so tired that I didn't connect this experience with the other implications that gang stalkers did, where they implied that they had access to my Nintendo Switch or they had access to my phone. Now, again, gang stalking is the only situation where you cannot trust what you see, because you're gonna have all type of hallucinations, including auditory, tactile, and visual. All right. So if you see evidence that they have access to your phone, just know that it was just a hallucination or a coincidence. They do not have access, even though you have evidence that is right in front of you, that you see with your own eyes, and everything is pointing that that is the reality. It's not. Okay, it is so hard. It is the hardest thing that you're gonna possibly ever do. Is know that it's not true, even though everything is pointing that it is. That is what's the so that's a skill that you develop with experience on gang stalking. Is to be able to keep your perception stuck to the truth, because gang stalking is gonna turn all your perceptions around, and you are gonna believe that, and you're gonna believe a false narrative, because all of your senses are pointing to that, to the truth, to the truth that is not, to a lie. It's all a trick, and they know it. But trust me, I lived through it, and it is the one skill that saved me. It is to keep my mind grounded on reality, even though every single part of me was pointing to the false narrative that the gang stalkers are trying to push. So one, no, they do not have access to your phone. They do not have access to your screen. They only have access to whatever information you give them. For example, if you're on Grindr, they're gonna know you're around. If you're on Sniffies, they're gonna know your exact location, because Sniffies does put a map of exactly where you're at. All right, so just be very careful, or if you tell someone, they only know the information that you give them. All right, so the only reason they can know where you're at is because they have someone saw you. That's it, or because you told someone. Period. That's it. It took them months to find me when I stopped logging onto Grindr, when I stopped logging into Sniffies. They didn't know where I was for months. All right, because I wasn't logging. They only found out where I was only after I began using these applications, or when they just began with time, where they began just exploring and they began reporting to each other where I typically stay at. That's why there were no shopping carts around. There were no triggers, because they didn't know where I was, and it took them months to figure that out. So, in conclusion, when you're getting gang stalked, all your perceptions are gonna turn to a lie. And gang stalking is the only thing where all your perceptions are gonna be twisted and be pointing towards a lie. And so you have to literally just work against everything that tells you, everything about you, every single part of your being is gonna tell you that they have access to your phone. It took me like a month to be comfortable using my phone. Not only because I had this narrative in my head, but because I still felt like they had access to my phone. I felt it. I literally felt it. And I was uncomfortable using my phone, but it went away with time. So it took me months to be able to get rid of the narrative. Like 1 month, about a month. And then now I'm comfortable using my phone. But just know that they don't have access to your phone. They don't have access to your computer. They don't have access to your screen. It is only that your perceptions have been made to believe that. All right? But this is the only time where your perceptions are going to be all wrong. That is why everyone is convinced that they have access to your phone, because every single part of them is telling them that that's the truth. But gang stalking is the exception. Gang stalking is the exception. And when you are able to see this, when you learn this skill, that to see the truth, even when everything is pointing that it's true, you're gonna be free. That's all I have to tell you for today. Thank you so much for watching. Bye. I love you.